and I echo the mayor's sentiments. It was amazing police work, hardworking men and women of this department. Literally, everyone who pulled the trigger downtown was arrested. Just great police work. As usual, when we have an officer-involved incident, I'm going to brief that out. And as I've indicated in the past, these incidents are subject to change as the investigation continues. But this is what we know right now. The incident occurred involving the officer-involved shooting at 12 a.m. Saturday morning. Officers were sitting stationary on patrol when they heard gunshots. And this incident involves the one shooting that resulted in a tragic death downtown on that date and time. They heard the gunshots coming from the area of a nearby parking structure. They start to pursue what they believe to be the suspect. It turns out that the shooting was actually adjacent to that location. When they see the two suspects running, the officers pursue directly behind them. They enter the parking structure. The officer never loses sight, knowing that there's several people in the parking structure. We later find out it's over 50 people in the parking structure. Never losing contact with the suspect. He orders the suspect to drop the weapon. Suspect continues to run, and this turns out to be the suspect who's involved again in the earlier shooting moments before that time that resulted in the tragic death of a citizen. He pursues him, he gets to a vehicle, and at that point he turns towards the officer. The officer fires one shot, and the suspect dives into the vehicle, and there's another person in that vehicle who's in the driver's seat and drives off. Later that evening, minutes later, that we were able to find out where the vehicle was. The suspect was dropped off at the hospital. We get to the hospital, and he is taken into custody, and he is right now in police custody, but at the hospital being treated for his injuries. I believe that could have been a lot worse. It could have been an active shooter. There was already 3 people struck, and what the officers did was just simply amazing with that situation. And pursuant to our policy, this will be handled by our homicide task force, which includes members of the Michigan State Police who will lead the investigation, and the findings of the investigation will be turned over to the prosecutor's office for review. This weekend, as the mayor indicated, also included the tragic death of Daryl, which I know him as, and he's a security guard that works downtown, has worked a variety of assignments. Just a very, very nice person. I have reviewed the video, and it's just simply tragic. An incident that occurred inside the store involving someone who stepped in front of the suspect. Daryl was attempting inside of the store to remedy the problem. No big deal. The citizen who stepped in front of him or cut the line apologized. This bleeds over out front, and as you look at the video, you see that we have officers not only literally in front of the location, but on the corner on their stationary assignment. Also, another officer walks by as the conversation is taking place out front between the suspect, his girlfriend, unnamed citizen, and Daryl. And there's no confrontation, there's no argument. He takes a small caliber weapon out of his pocket and fires a shot into his chest, unprovoked. And just sadly, Daryl at that time walks back into the business. You can see that he is stunned and surprised and later collapses. And tragically, we know the results of that. Again, we know that this is not representative of our city. We know that these incidents are such that no one wants them. We saw hundreds of people enjoying themselves with their family, with their children, and they're fed up with the violence too. Our citizens, our community, our business owners are fed up, and we know that because we get incredible support and assistance. Every single incident we had in downtown, we had assistance, people pointing people out. We had a situation where a suspect was escaping. He jumped down on the freeway. It was the citizens who said, he's on the freeway. And we get down on the freeway, we shut the freeway down. They tell us where he tossed the gun. And it was with their assistance we were able to get the suspect as well as the weapon. And again, it's on and on. People want to enjoy the city, they want to have a good time, and they don't want to be involved in this type of situation and these types of incidents. There's truly no words to express my gratitude to our officers. Not only are they giving up their summers, working these details, but their commitment to this community is second to none. They're just great police work. I do want to talk a little bit about what we're going to see that's a little bit different. We always are working to improve our processes. We have a very comprehensive strategy for our summer deployment and crowd control detail. We talked about it last year with our 5-point plan. We have a spring deployment, and then that gradually increases to a summer deployment, and then we go into a fall deployment. What you saw last week was our spring deployment. We saw some very high numbers that we did not anticipate seeing until midsummer. We have made a decision departmentally to move right into our midsummer deployment. And with that comes a few additions to some things that we know works and some things that we want to do differently. One of the things that you will see is an emphasis on crowd management, ensuring that we have vehicles that are legally parked in certain areas moved. We're going to be focusing on making sure that the egresses to these locations are clear. The open intoxicants, people walking through those areas with liquor and cups, things such as that will be enforced. We'll also be enforcing disorderly conduct. We'll be enforcing more heavily noise at businesses. We're going to need the participation of all the businesses in Greektown to keep the music to a normal level and then gradually turn that music down towards the end of the evening. We'll also be looking at our curfew violators. And, we're not saying that, that the kids can't come down and have a good time. We want them to come down and have a good time, but we also want parental responsibility. And what we've been talking about as a team, we're not really focusing on giving a kid a ticket. We're focusing on if you're dropping 20 kids off, 15 kids off outside of curfew or close to curfew, and there's no parental supervision. If you want them to enjoy the downtown, the Greektown area, mom and dad, adult guardian, come along with them. That's perfectly fine. But when we got 10 or 15 kids that are together, they're subject to being accosted. They're subject to finding themselves in problems as well when you don't have that adult oversight. And so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help keep them safe and keep them out of harm's way as well. I'm very focused on making sure that parental responsibility ticket is issued to the parents, because that, I think, is where the message needs to be sent. They have a profound responsibility to assist us in aiding and keeping their kids safe. So again, the greater concern will be that of enforcing the parental responsibility ordinance. You can expect enforcement of violations with these three-wheelers, these ATV vehicles. We'll be talking more about that in the coming days. But an ATV is not a street legal vehicle. They put us all at risk. They put our officers, our citizens at risk, and blazing through our community, not just downtown. You're going to see a greater emphasis placed on that. We're also going to be looking to clearly identify with signage pathways, walking pathways, more to come on that. The 2 a.m. closure of our businesses in Greektown will be made clear in our signage, and there'll be announcements coming with that. And we're going to do a number of different things for safety with barricades and things such as that, just to ensure that there's a degree of safety. And before I take any questions, I just want to say hard work from the men and women of the Detroit Police Department, support of their community, is so valuable for us in what we do. I mean, we have the eagle eye in the sky. We've got the real-time crime center, but we could not do what we do, again, without our community. So we want to make sure that we emphasize, the support of the community, but also how welcoming we want our community to be for everyone who wants to come downtown, and it's not restrictive to our young people. We just want to make sure that they have the requisite oversight that they need beyond the curfew hours. So with that, I will take any questions that you all may have.